Hello, good morning, everyone. It's good to see you again. How have you been? Ah, si no, todavía no los he iniciado a todos. Ujú. Hello, let's see, admit old. Okay. Ujú. Hola, Analia, ¿cómo está? Ángel, mis estimados, mucho gusto.
Buenos días, mister.
Buenos días, buenos días.
Buenos días, mister.
Buenos días, buenos días. Espero que esté todo bien, todo azul. Ya vamos a iniciar la clase. Pues ya están uniendo todos los compañeros. Entonces le estamos dando a admitir a todos para así darle de comienzo. Ok, primero, sorry. Antes de comenzar la clase, déjenme recordarles que ya sus tareas ya están listas en la plataforma de Edbox. Ok. Ya lo pueden descargar, no se preocupen, no es tampoco para mañana, aclaro, sino que la tarea es para el día martes, y tampoco les dejé aquel montón de ejercicios hoy 30 ni 40, sino que son una cantidad de ejercicios razonables en que usted perfectamente, si usted gusta, lo puede terminar inclusive hasta hoy mismo, ¿verdad? No es muy largo. Básicamente lo que estamos evaluando son los conceptos de cómo graficar una recta usando tabla de valores, interceptos y el concepto que vimos ayer de pendiente de una recta. Okay? Well, today we're going to learn how to writing linear equations. And also we're going to finish with the application, sorry, with the application and how to use perpendicular and parallel lines in that situation. Okay? So according for this, according for the statement in the whiteboard, I don't know if you can see that one. Sorry, hold on. Yeah, better. All right, there's many ways we can write in linear equations. One of them that will be in the slope intercept form. All right. The second one we can learn this linear equations in a point slope form. Another one will be the general form, and the last one in notation of function. Okay, in these four ways you can write these linear equations, my dear students. Actually, you saw that already, but the difference is you didn't know what is the name of that form of the equation. For example, I want to explain you a little bit. Do you remember every time that we have an equation and when you solve for y-axis, right? If you say you have equation like, for example, y equals 2x plus 3. That's what I give an example, right? Well, in that kind of linear equations, is it that we call the slope intercept form with formula or given formula that will be given by y equals mx plus b. This is the formula, or sometimes when we solve for y, any equation, where m that is represent the slope of the line, and b is representing by the y-intercept. And do you remember the last class? We solve for y, and after that we write the equation in notation of function. And if you remember, I explained you already, every time I'm going to write an equation in notation of function, the only thing that we have to do is change the y value by the notation of function. This is what we call FDX. Yes, Camila?
Mister, fíjese
Ujú.
como que se está yendo el audio, o sea, se baja y sube el audio.
Y ahora vamos a checar, permítanme, vamos a checar. Vamos a checar. Un segundo. Vamos a ver. Audio, no, aquí no es. ¿Qué tal ahora? ¿Se escucha igual? ¿Hola?
Sí, ahora sí.
Ok, perfecto. Me imagino que debe de ser porque le contaré un detalle, Camila. Los audífonos son muy buenos, al menos son mucho más claros los audios, ¿verdad? Que los que utilizaba antes. Pero el detalle es que estos headsets los hicieron como tamaño small, pero de lo más pequeño, porque mi cabeza es demasiado grande y me queda bien pequeñito, entonces a veces siento como que se me sale y tengo que estarlo bajando y me imagino que ahí inconscientemente le bajo el volumen. But sorry about that. Now, can you hear my voice loud and clear?
Yes, mister.
All right then. So this is the slow integer form. That means every time that we have an equation and we solve for y, where the number which multiply the letter x always will be the slow bottom line. And the number who is adding or subtracting, this is what we call the y-intercept. In notation of function, we're going to follow the same formula. But what will be the difference in this time? And instead to write y, we're going to change the y axis or the y variable by the notation function that we call f dx equals mx plus b. Okay, this is the slow intercept form, the equation when we solve for y, and we have the this function. And the notation function, we change the letter y by f dx. In the general form, actually, my dear students, you solve a lot of equations in the general form. These equations are the original ones. I mean, the formula that we got before to solve for y-axis or for y variable. In that case, in the general form, you're going to find out just like in this behavior, like ax plus by minus or plus c, and the entire equation will be equal 0. Obviously, it could be positive or negative values, but actually basically the main idea, we're going to have two numbers with their variables x and y, and the last one will be a number without a variable, okay? When you know how to will be present this with the three behaviors or the three ways to writing linear equations. But how about the point slope form? Okay, in this point slope form, my dear students, in this situation, we have a one singular formula that we're supposed to apply to find out or to writing this slope form equation. In the point slope form, that will be useful even though for derivate or writing the three forms of this equation. And this point slope form, my dear students, is given by the following formula. Y minus y1 equals m parenthesis x minus x1. That's why I'm writing this equation in a purple way, because in this one, this is the way that we have a one singular formula. Why is useful and how is it going to be useful this equation on the line? Because in this equation on the line will be useful just in case you have the value of the slope on the line in one singular point. Okay, this is how we can write the equation on the line in the point slope. Now, what are we going to learn? Well, I'm going to teach you how to use these formulas and how to apply the concepts of writing linear equations. Okay, so let me explain it before to do that. Before to learn writing linear equations, let me give you as one single example just for to clarify or finish how we can use the concept of perpendicular and parallel lines. Remember the definition that we learned yesterday. Parallel lines are the lines who has the same measure, the same direction, but never touches each other. Why? Because the slope of the first line will be equal the same value to another one. And the concept of the perpendicular line will be the both lines going to have an intersection point. That intersection point has we're going to transform in one singular perpendicular angle. And that angle will be 90 degrees. And at the same time, I explained you already, the value of the slope will be the reciprocal. Now, we're going to learn how to apply that concept. For example, in this example number 4, sorry, the example number 2, because yesterday we learned how to use this formula. The slope of the line says, find the slope of a line. Find the slope of a line, okay, that has the given relationship, that has the given relationship relationship to the line with equation, to the line, to the line with equation, with equation, with equation uh, 4x plus 3y, 4x plus 3y equals negative 18. And what will be that relationship? Okay, letter A, when we're talking about parallel line, and the letter B, when we're talking about the perpendicular line. All right, so what we're going to do, this is not complicated thing, my dear students. First of all, let me explain you already. We have this equation, the equation given by 4x plus 3y equals negative 18. As soon as you can see this equation, just for create a relationship between this concept and this one, at the way that we have this linear equations, this linear equations is written in the general form because we have two numbers with variables, and at the end that will be equal another number, or could be present like 4x plus 3y plus 18 equals 0. When you see the two numbers each other, I mean every number one of them with the x variable and another one with the y variable, we can say this equation of the line is written in the general form. This is what I'm trying to say. Before to create the relationship between a parallel line and perpendicular line, the third thing that we have to do is solve for y-axis. I mean, solve for y. Don't hesitate to solve for y, okay? So 3y, that will be equal negative 18, negative 4x. And remember, this number 3 passes to divide both equations. I mean, y will be equal negative 4/3 x, and negative 18 divided by 3 will be equal 6. This is the name of this process. Always we have to write the number who is next to the x variable. As soon as you can see, we are solved already for y-axis, okay? And let me label this one. At the beginning, this equation was written in general form, okay? It's written in general form. Now we solve for y, okay? Because this equation is solved for y, this time this equation will be written in the slope intercept form, okay? And if I change y by f dx, will be equal the notation of function, okay? That's not big deal. Well, I'm going to, in this case, they are not asking write the equation notation of function, but I do it just for differentiate how we're going to identify this equation, okay? In notation of function will be equal f dx, change for y, will be equal negative 4 third x, negative 6. So this equation, in this way, changing y by f dx, this is what we call notation of function. Mhm. Three ways how we can write linear equations. But continue with the problem. Okay. First step, you're going to have the equation written in the general form, and we have to solve for y. When you solve for y, the name of this linear equation is slope induction form. And now let's going to apply the relationship. Remember, in the letter A, the relationship says this is going to be parallel line. Okay? This is in the letter A, the condition A. All right, parallel lines, that means the line will have the same slope, the same slope. So according to that concept, remember the slope number one will be equal to the slope number two. And you're going to ask, Mister, what will be the value of the slope of this line? If you see in the slope intercept form, every time that we solve for y-axis, the number who is multiplying the letter x, again, the number who is multiplying the letter x will be the value of the slope. Okay, for that reason, we can say the value of the slope number one, because we have the line number one, this is going to be negative 4/3, right? And if we apply the concept, the only thing that I have to do is replace M1 by their value. That will be negative 4/3 equals M2. All right. And this is going to be the relationship in the letter A. Again, solve for y or write equation, the slope intersection form. And because parallel lines have the same slope, the number who is multiplying the letter x always will be the slope. Simple. Now, let's talk about with the letter B, the relationship with the letter B. This situation, we're talking about the perpendicular lines. Okay? Perpendicular lines. Remember what I explained you yesterday. Explained you yesterday at the moment we're going to apply the perpendicular lines, that in that case will be the opposite value of the slope in the parallel line. For example, what is the opposite of 4/3? Negative 4/3. What is the opposite value of negative 4/3? Del al revés, por decirlo así. Any idea? What is the forward, the reverse of negative 4/3? The opposite.
Negative 3/4.
Okay, remember, opposite of negative,
Forward.
Ah,
opposite of negative will be positive, right? Will be positive, therefore. But if you don't remember that concept, that's why we have this formula. The product between M1 times M2 will be equal -1. So because M1 has a value negative 4/3, negative 4/3 multiplied by M2 equals -1. For example, this number 3 is dividing passes to multiply. And we have negative 4M2 equals -3 because 3 times -1 is -3, okay? And because the number 4 is multiplying, passes to divide. And you know, negative time, we got -3 over -4, the answer will be therefore. And that's it. This is going to be the relationship between parallel line and perpendicular lines. Understood? Questions? ¿Mm? No hay ninguna pregunta. Todo claro, todo azul. ¿Mm? Okay. Copy that one meanwhile and copy the second example over there. Okay. Example number 2 says find an equation of a line of a line that passes to the points as 5,2 and 3,4. Right. And slow form. And notation of function. Okay. When you finish to copy that one, let me know. Have you done? Or do I need to move the camera a little bit? Or that's okay? Hablen muchachos, digan algo. Y no sé si han copiado, no han copiado, si se miran, no se miran. Por favor, usen los auriculares, digan algo. ¿Está todo bien? ¿Terminaron?
Yes.
All right, then. Thank you so much. So we're going to change the view and let's going to apply the second example or the example number 2. As soon as you can read, the problem says, find an equation of the line that passes to the points 5,2 and 3,4. Write it in point slope form and notation of function. Okay, so in this situation, the requirement will be create the equation on the line and present in the two ways, point slope form and obviously notation of function. Why? Because the problem demands. But it doesn't matter in this situation what form we're looking for. Before to do that, we have to find out what will be the value of the slope of the line. Because if you remember, the point slope form is given by the formula y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. And notation of function is given by f dx equals mx plus b. So if we don't find out what will be the value of the slope of the line, those formulas will be unuseful. For that reason, the step number 1 or the first thing that we have to do in this situation is find the slope of the line. What is the formula from the slope of the line? Well, remember, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This formula will be useful to locate or calculate the slope of the line. Remember, 5 and 3 represents the value of x1 and x2. And the number 2 with the number 4 represents the value of y1 and y2. For that reason, I'm going to replace those values, like for example, 4, -2, divided by 3 minus 5. Okay? For that reason, the value of the slope of the line, if you see, we have 4 minus 2 is positive 2. Okay? And 3 minus 5 will be negative 2. And if we divide 2 divided by negative 2, the answer will be negative 1. Okay? This is going to be the slope of the line. Now, let's going to fulfill the requirements. Remember, the first thing that we have to do is write the equation in the point slope form. What is the formula? The formula is y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. This is not complicated. Writing the equation in the point slope, the only thing that we have to do, pay attention. The only thing that we have to do is replace the values of y1, x1, and m. You're going to ask, Mr. Boy, how about with y and the letter x? Don't worry about it. You don't need to touch x and y because it's an equation in function of the variables x and y. For that reason, every time they're going to write an equation in the point slope form, the only values that you have to replace will be y1, x1, and m. Remember, m is the slope of the line, okay? Actually, who's gonna be x1 or y1? We have 2 points, okay? We have the points 5 with 2 and 3 with 4. If you ask me, what will be the difference if I choose 5 with 2 like a x1, y1, or if I choose 3 and 4 like a x1 or y1? The answer will be there's no difference. You can take whatever the points as you wish, and the answer will be the same, okay? So which one would you like to use to write this equation in point slope? 5 with 2 or 3 with 4? Which one? ¿Cuál le gustaría que escoger? 5-2 o 3-4? Okay, I'm going to choose 5 with 2, all right? So again, the letter Y, we're going to write Y. Y1 will be 2, for that reason, Y minus 2 equals the M value, remember it's negative 1, parentheses, X minus X1. That situation, we are replacing, right? Y1, X1, and the value of M, okay? At this moment, we want to replace those values, my dear students. This situation, this is what we call the equation written in the point slope form, all right? Only replace or substitute the values x1, y1, and n. That's it. We are accomplished the first requirement, okay? Now, in the second requirement, says, well, now we have to write the equation in notation of function. Okay, in that case, I'm going to copy the equation over here once again. Y minus 2 equals negative 1 x minus 5. What I have to do? Simple, we have to solve for y. Solve for y. First of all, remember, negative 1 is multiplying x minus 5. Distributive property. Negative 1 multiplying x, and at the same time multiplying negative 5. Okay? So y minus 2 equals negative x, negative times negative, positive 5. And because the number 2 is subtracting, passes to another side for adding. I mean, negative x plus 5 plus 2, we can conclude y will be equal negative x plus 7. Okay? This equation onto this this equation, this is what we call the y the, the slope intercept form in this way. Slope intercept form. Okay? But the problem asking for notation of function. What is the thing or the step that we have to do? Simple to write this equation. In notation of function, the only thing that we have to do is replace y by f dx. So simple merely words, I'm going to write this equation like f dx. I mean, instead to use y, I'm going to say f dx equals negative x plus 7. Okay? And this equation is written into the notation of function. Notation of function. Okay? Actually, the problem asking for only the purple one and the orange one. I'm just showing you that the 4 ways how we can write this the equation on the line. And finally, if you really want to write the equation in the line in the general form, well, simple. We have to move in that black one equation, both terms to the right side, and the equation that's supposed to be equal to 0. I mean, simple merely words. If you see the letter X is subtracting, right? Pass it to the left side for adding. X plus Y, even though the number 7 is adding, to move to the left side, just subtracting. X plus Y minus 7 will be equal 0. Or if you wish, X plus Y equals 7 in both ways. In both ways, my dear students, we can say, okay, this equation is written in the general form. General form. And that's it. This is the 4 ways we can write equation of the line. Point slope form, slope intercept form, notation of function, and general form. Well, in the example, they're only asking for point slope form and notation of form and notation function, but we have a great opportunity to show you what is the meaning, how we can proceed to writing this for presentations and writing linear equations. And you know, if you want to scan a graph, remember to scan a graph, make sure the equation that's supposed to be written in the slope intercept form or notation of function. You can provide values from the letter X, and you're going to, there will be the domain, and we have the values of the y-axis, obviously. Or if you rather, you can, if you rather, right, we can use the intercept to write this equation, or the third option, because we have 2 points over here, you can graph 5 with 2 and 3 with 4 and sketch the graph. So, okay. I don't know if you have questions or everything is clear. ¿Está todo claro? ¿Todo azul? Bueno, entonces mis estimados, creo que solo quedan 2 minutitos, otros días los he sacado un cachito más tarde. Hoy es viernes, cuerpo lo sabe, como dice el dicho. Muchísimas gracias por su fina atención. Dios los bendiga, los guarde, los cuide. Y si Dios lo permite, los veo el lunes para nuestro primer class work. Mister, today is the yeah, es cierto. Muchas felicidades a todos ustedes. Hoy es el Día del Niño. Lo había olvidado. Es que como yo dejé de ser niño hace como unos 30 años, por eso es. Pero qué importa, sigo siendo niño porque a veces juego Mario Bros. Y que no importa. Bueno, muchachos, pasen su día, disfrútenlo. Los veo el lunes, si Dios así lo permite. Bendiciones, un abrazo a la
Bye,
distancia.
Nos
mister.
vemos, mister. Feliz
Bye,
fin de semana.
bye.
Mister. Nos
Take
vemos,
care.
mister.
Nos vemos, cuídense, muchachos. Bye, bye.